Everyone, this is Amit Raghav, and today I'm going to share with you another video in the series of Polity. So let's start. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the concept of the freedom. But before giving the concept of the freedom, let me give you the brief about the struggle that we have faced. So first of all, we would understand what is the historical background, what was the struggle for our freedom not only of India but also of South Africa. And then we will move to the freedom which is enshrined in the constitution, which is in part 3 and the article 90 to 22. In the preamble we would discuss the liberty. In the DPSP we would have a slightly look of the principle, but I would not go into the detail with respect to the DPSP. We would understand what are the constraints and what are the restrictions which are needed and why it was needed and why it was introduced. Then we would come to the concept of the liberty. What is the harm principle and what are the constitutional validity of this? And apart from this, we would also discuss the farm laws, agitations, and the farmers' status, and the famous, that is a CAA protest. We would also take a look on it. So be consistent, and I would tell you almost everything because I would be covering the fundamental right, which is right to freedom, along with the right to freedom of religion, and then I would be go to the conversion laws and we would discuss a bit about it. So let's start. As I told you that first of all I would discuss what is our freedom struggle and who are our freedom fighter. The freedom that we are right now enjoying is at the cost of our freedom fighters, and one of them was Bal Gangadhar Tilak. And if I talk about who was the Bal Gangadhar Tilak, then he was the part of the extremist group. He told that in his famous speech, which is freedom is my birthright. This is the speech for which he was caused the prison. So he was the nationalist, philosopher, mathematician, scholar who founded the Indian Home Rule League, and he also signed the Lucknow Pact for the unity of the Hindu and Muslim. So he was the person who is versatile, and in his book, he just told what are the timing basis on the stars, basis on the stars, moon, sun. So he was a versatile, and I appreciate the contribution he made in the history. Another person, Nelson Mandela. Who was he? He was the first black president, and why he was being called the father of the nation in the Africa? Because he removed the ill practice, which is apartheid. That means I would discuss what it is actually. But let me give you a brief introduction about these personalities. And then our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. Let's quickly discuss about the contribution and their ideas, which are still we are using even after the centuries. So when I talk about the freedom, it start with the struggle. And when it start with the struggle, then what has been caused that the people sacrifice their lives not only in India but across the globe, across the world. Why it happened? Because the humanity, we have seen so far that humanity was exploited by the powerful group. This is the reason the equality, there is a trinity of the word equality, fraternity, and liberty was enshrined and what was derived from the French Revolution. So when I talk about the struggle for the freedom of India, then we have the 90 years long freedom struggle. And if I talk about the Africa freedom struggle, then all these struggles gave the two father of the nation in their respective states. In India, it is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, that means Mahatma Gandhi, and in Africa, it was Nelson Mandela. But what he did, Mahatma Gandhi, somewhere in 90, if I talk about the late 1920, then the evolution of the concept, that means Swaraj, that means self governance, what we are right now using, that means we are governing ourselves through the representative government or the limited government. And similarly, Nelson Mandela has protested the anti-apartheid movement, which is still the bone of contention somewhere in the world. So the liberty of thought, expression, and belief, which is given in our preamble, and this is the liberty of thought, expression, and belief, which had given the liberty to us. This was the concept of his own creation, and the freedom from the racial discrimination. So if I talk about what is freedom, so it is the absence of restraint to develop the individual with the dignity. However, in order to check the exploitation, certain restrictions are necessary. Therefore, the concept of liberty was enshrined in the preamble, and the right to freedom was given in the part 3 along with some reasonable restriction. Just understand a situation where the person who are the criminals, maybe the terrorists, who are the heroes in their own state but are the criminals in the another state, if they are given the liberty to attack anyone, to kill anyone, it would be cause danger to the humanity. This is the reason the liberty was given with some reasonable restriction. Let's have a look on the constitutional provisions. So freedom, we have discussed what is the absence of restriction and existence of those conditions which can develop the human with the dignity, and the existence of some reasonable restriction. I told you why it was held. Now let's understand the concept of harm principle. The harm principle states that, which is given by the John Stuart Mill, that people should be free to act however their wish, their action cause harm to the someone else, unless they cause harm to someone else. For example, I'm free to do anything. I was drunkard and just try. If someone, for example, is drunkard and try to enter a room of someone else and breaching their privacy, it is the violation of the freedom. Now let's move to some important issues, that means the right to freedom which is enshrined in the constitution. So the right to freedom is given in article 19 to 22, and the right to freedom of religion is given in article 25 to 28. The protection, the article 19 states that it has given the protection against the six issues. For example, freedom of speech, expression, belief, assembly, association, movement, reside, and profession. What is expression and belief? The expression also include dissent. If I am expressing something, either it could be yes or no. Similarly, the what is happening when I talk about the dharnas, which is right now happening in case of the farmers, they are expressing their dissent. They are expressing their dissent from the particular thing, like the passing the farm laws, but they can assemble without any arm, they can form the association. But there is also a ruling which states that you cannot assemble for indefinitely, because it is also breaching, as per the harm principle, the liberty of someone else, right? So this is the state of which is going on right now. And the conviction of offense, that means you are not supposed to convict for yourself. You cannot be the victim, you cannot be the evidence for yourself that yes, I personally have done this. Life and personal liberty, it's a huge principle that would be discussed in detail, but life is the biggest concept, and it is a vast concept that can be include anything. Like right to life, there is nothing, this is the only right uh, which cannot be evoked even in the emergency situation. And this has the different story of the emergency that was casted somewhere in the 75 and 76. 1976 and 75 was a period which is called the black or dark period in the political and the Indian history. And right to education is the additional right which was enshrined in Article 21A, and arrest and detention was given in Article 22. Similarly, if I talk about the freedom of religion, then everyone has the freedom of religion with regard to the conscience and a freedom and a free profession. And anyone can practice any profession and practice any religion. That means they are free to express that they can have the right to declare the one religious belief and a faith openly and freely. Let me remind you of present situation where the UP CM Adityanath Yogi ji has told you that I am in one of this video I am Hindu and I am proud to be a Hindu, right? So this is the his right. He can call it his religious belief and he can declare his religious belief and faith openly and freely. And similarly, right to practice include, that means the performance of any religious rituals and ceremonies. This is the reason you can see that the most of the places you can see the various ceremonies like Jagran and something else is going on. So these are the religious belief and these are the religious ceremony which is enshrined in the Article 25, that is right to freedom of religion, conscience, free profession, practice and propagation, manage the religious affairs, which state that, but it has also some restriction. That means they can regulate any restrict, right? So, right to manage any affair, that means they can establish or maintain an institution for the religious affairs like mandir, masjid. They can form anywhere subject to uh, some approvals, and they have the right to manage their own matters of the religion. And the payment from the taxation, that means it lays down the Article 27 speaks about the freedom from the taxation for the promotion of the religion. That means Article 27 states that no person shall be compelled to pay any taxes for the promotion or the maintenance of any particular religion or the religious denomination, right? And the attending the religious instruction or worship in a certain educational institution was given in Article 28, which speaks about no religious instruction shall be provided in any educational institution wholly maintained out of the state funds. However, this provision shall not apply to an educational institution administered by the state but established under any endowment or the trust which requiring the imparting of religious instruction in any institution. So if I talk about 28, it distinguishes between the four type of the educational institutions. That means the institution wholly maintained by the state, institution administered by the state but established under any endowment, or the institutions recognized by the state, an institution receiving aid from the state in a religious instruction completely prohibited in the case of one, that means the instruction is clearly prohibited. In the second, the instruction is permitted, but in C and D religious instructions is permitted on the voluntary basis, right? But let me tell you one more thing. If I talk about the right to freedom of religion, then the Article 25 clearly states that the right to propagate doesn't mean right to convert. So conversion is not allowed, it is illegal. So thank you guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I would continue this series for the further information. I am right now I have covered the chapter which is related to the freedom in the political theory class 11, and I have also give you the brief description about the right to freedom and right to freedom of religion which are enshrined in the Constitution of India. Thank you so much.